Greetings. Have you been waiting for Amazon's Prime Day or Prime Week in order to buy a brand new radio? If you're looking for a brand new radio, this is a great one. This is the Retevis RA89R. My name is Dave, and my channel name is Ham Radio GMRS Test and Review. My call sign is N8DAV, and the motto for my channel is one test is worth 1,000 expert opinions. Today, I'm going to tell you that Retevis, the manufacturer of ham radio and GMRS radio gear, including commercial radio gear, contacted me and asked me if I would like to do a complete test and review of their new handheld radio, the RA89R. So I will be doing that, and so please kick back and relax, and I will get right into the specifications. Be right back. Some of the cool features that this radio comes with is a crossband repeater, Bluetooth app, including a control feature with the Bluetooth app for your phone. It also comes with a brand new feature that I'm really enjoy. I really like this feature. It's a 2-in-1 programming and charging cable. So when you want to program the cable or program the radio, you use the cable and you plug it in right here into the radio. But if you want to charge the battery, you just plug it in back here into the battery. So it does double duty, and I really like that feature a lot. I've used it a lot now since I've had the radio. This radio has full button design. It's not a alphanumeric keypad as most keypads are. I'll show this to you. It has dual functionality on the buttons though, and it's pretty handy actually. And we'll go into some of those a little bit later, but I suggest that you look into that. That's a great feature for me. Comes with a 2800 amp hour battery. It's considered part of a emergency backup communication system. Also, it has NOAA channels built in, dual PTT, dual band, and dual monitor. And it has a few other features such as emergency alarm, and of course, it does not come with a flashlight. All right. So that's something to take into consideration. That this radio is being, or this video is being released right at the beginning of Prime Week. Amazon's Prime Week, as you know, offers usually some very large discounts on radios, and this radio is no different. There will be a link in the description of this video. So for the first 3 or 4 days, you can get a big discount on this particular radio if you click on the link in my description. All right. Contents of the box: 2800 milliamp hour battery, a cradle charger, a wall wart, and one cable. That's the USB-A to USB-C cable that does double duty, programming and charging. It's a direct plug-in type cable. So you also get a belt clip. And by the way, the belt clip is mounted to the battery. And you get a wrist strap, instruction book, and the instruction book is 29 pages, and it's in pretty good English. So it only requires a very slight amount of prior knowledge of radios in order to be able to use the radio using the instruction manual. So consider that when you consider buying this particular radio. Now, the frequency specified in this particular radio is 144 megahertz to 148 megahertz and 440 to 450 megahertz. Now, that is a little narrow, as you already know, and there is a way to open those frequencies up. It comes with a volume on-off knob, and the display type is an LCD. The background color is a dark blue with a white font. Now, in direct sunlight, you can see this this display, and as you can see it right here in the camera. And I have some indirect sunlight on me, but it does actually seem to get a little bit better in direct sunlight as compared to indirect sunlight. So that's a pretty good feature. I really like to be able to see what I'm doing with my radio in direct sunlight. All right. Let's see. We also have menu buttons. We have the F key for the menu function, the AB key to switch back and forth between VF-01 and VF-02, right? So here is the AB key, and here is the function key, and that takes you right into the menu system. And of course, we also have the up and down arrow keys. They're not actually up and down keys, but you know, the top one is up, the bottom one is down, of course. Pretty easy to understand. Now the function keys are right here on the front. This is pretty cool. It's not alphanumeric, but it is a full set of functions, dual functions for each one of these keys. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to be testing the frequency limits of this radio. I'll also be testing the power output of the radio, as well as I'll be testing the antenna that it comes with. And I'll also be testing the reception quality clarity, the transmission quality clarity, and the transmission range with the included antenna. I'll also let you know that you can program this from the front panel. All right, that's something that not all radios do. This one does, so you can do all the programming you need to from the front panel. There is no chirp support for this radio as of right now. However, Retevis does provide a CPS software that you can install on your Windows computer in order to program. Now, one other thing I will tell you that I found out that they don't advertise for this radio is that I have a regular Retevis programming cable, and it is a K connector type, and it does plug right into the jacks over here on the side, the K connector jacks, and it does work. So you don't have to necessarily get another cable, even though it does come with the programming cable that plugs right here into the USB plug right here on the side. I don't know if you can see that very well. All right. So when I come back, I'll start doing some of the testing, and we'll get into some of the things that I like and some of the things that I dislike about the radio. As you know, one of the things I always do is I actually test the antenna that comes with the radios. So for the Retevis RA89R, I'll be testing this on the VHF national call frequency and the UHF national call frequency. Here we go, testing the SWR on the VHF 2-meter calling frequency. We get an SWR of 3.08. Testing the antenna now on the UHF calling frequency. Get an SWR of 1.30. As I always do, I always test antennas with both the power SWR meter as well as a nano VNA. So I'm going to turn on the nano VNA. It will default to the 2-meter calibration. And the SWR for this particular antenna is 3.587. Okay, and now we will test on the 70 centimeter frequency. And we bring this up to the calling frequency. And we get an SWR of 1.775. All right, I've set up my tiny SA in order to test the spectral purity of the Retevis RA89R. And so here I have it set up. I have it set up properly and per the instructions from the Smoking Ape. So shout out to the Smoking Ape for putting out that video. So I was able to learn how to properly use my tiny SA to test the spectral purity. We will be testing the spectral purity on frequency 146.520, which is the national VHF calling frequency. And two things that we need to have in order to pass, that is the first harmonic, which will be harmonic number 1, needs to, of course, be on the left side, but the harmonics that are subsequent to that, if there are any, will need to be below the blue horizontal line and need to be at least 40 decibels below the first harmonic. So I'm going to try transmitting right now on high power, and this is what we're going to get. All right, here we go. So you see the first harmonic come up. You see the second harmonic come up, the third disappeared. So second and third harmonics are below the blue line. The fifth and sixth harmonics are above the blue line. Now, the fifth and sixth harmonics are minus 46 dB and minus 42 dB below the main harmonic. So, do we call that a pass or a fail? Well, I think it's got to be both. So, technically speaking, this radio does not pass the spectral purity test. All right, so here we go. It's not a real dirty radio, but it's not a completely clean radio either. All right, when I come back, we will do some more testing. Be right back. All right, we're going to be doing the power test now on the Retevis RA89R. And first of all, we're going to do 2 meter on low power, and we get 0.28 watts. Next, we are doing the 2 meter or VHF medium power. We get 0.77 watts. Next up is 2 meter high power. We get a total of 3.70 watts. Next up, we're doing 70 centimeter low power, 0.29 watts. Next up, we are doing 70 centimeter mid power, 1.02 watts. Last but not least, we are doing 70 centimeter high power, 4.26 watts. All right, I'm out here at Fox Glen Park. This is my favorite park. This is my favorite place to come to test HTs and HT antennas. Reason is it's about 2.6, 2.7 miles as the crow flies to my shack. And I also have a few obstructions in the way. I've got some trees, I've got one house, I've got a freeway overpass, I have an outbuilding, a partial outbuilding, and a partial hill that blocks my line of sight to my shack. So it makes it difficult for HT and HT antennas to make it to my shack and back. So when I test, I do a combination modulation and S-meter reading test. So what I do with that is for the modulation, if I receive a signal back that has very little to no static, then I consider that, with good modulation, I consider that an excellent test. If I have some static, like even a fair amount of static, but good modulation, I consider that a good test. If I have a lot of static and the modulation is starting to get a little choppy, then I consider that a fair test. And if I can't hit the repeater, or I can't hold open the repeater after hitting it, or if I have so much static that I can't understand the modulation at all, or it's hard to understand, then I consider that a failing test. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the Retevis RA89, and I'm going to use it to talk to my repeater, and I'm going to listen back, and I'm going to read the little meter that's on here. So I will just tell you what the reading is when I get it, and you can decide for yourself if it's a good reading or not. All right, let me go ahead and do that test right now. N8DAV, testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Testing the Retevis RA89R with the simplex repeater back at the shack. Testing 1, 2, 3, and 4.
N8DAV, testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Testing the Retevis RA89R with the simplex repeater back at the shack. Testing 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Wow. That's a really, really, really good test. I didn't hear any static whatsoever, and that's a rarity. Usually I hear quite a bit of static, or even just a little bit of static. With some of the best equipment, I usually even hear just a tiny bit of static. I had no static whatsoever. So that's a good test, or an excellent test, sorry. And I'm very surprised, very happy with that test. That's probably one of the best tests I've ever had with an HT and the stock antenna that it comes with. So I can wholeheartedly say this thing works great. And the S meter on this only goes up to 9. And so I'm just going to have to say 9 because it just went all the way up to the 9th gradation on the meter. So that's it. It really worked very, very well. I'm very, very happy and very surprised. Okay, so when you see me next, I am going to try out the crossband repeater. Yeah, we're going to be doing some crossband repeating here. All right. See you when I get back. All right. I'm out at my super secret test area. This radio did so well, I've decided to come out here to my super secret test area. You can see where I'm at. And you can see I've got right in the back of my truck, and you can see through the windows. Really not too many people around here. I don't see too many. And this is one of those areas where I'm blocked by a hill. I mean, a big hill. So signals getting to my shack and back are not very good. So only the best of the best can get through here. So let's try it. Let's see what happens. N8DAV, testing 1, 2, 3, 4, testing out at the super secret testing facility, trying to see what kind of a signal I get back. Testing 1, 2, 3, and 4.
N8DAV, testing 1, 2, 3, 4, testing out at the super secret testing facility, trying to see what kind of a signal I get back. Testing 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Okay, definitely got some static at that time. I would call this a good test, and the S meter reading on here was a 7. So it might be, it might actually be working really well. Like I said, I don't know this radio well enough to know exactly how well the S meter works on it, but it seems to be working perfectly, and that's a good test. So far, I'm very impressed with this radio. It's actually doing a good job with the stock antenna. So what can I say, man? So far, good going. Retevis, this is doing a good job right here. All right, next time you see me, I will be actually doing a crossband repeater test. Be right back. All right, here I have the Retevis RA89R set up in bidirectional crossband repeater mode. Now, what I've got is I've got two different frequencies set up. I've got 445 megahertz and 147.580 megahertz. So you'll see the first VFO is set up for 445. The bottom one is set up for 147.580. Now, what I'm going to do is the 445 megahertz VFO is going to be talking to a simplex repeater that I have set up somewhere else in my shack. And I have the Retevis connected into my base station antenna. So what's going to happen is I'm going to be calling the Retevis on my base station antenna on 147.580, and what it will do is at the almost simultaneously transmit what it's receiving from 147.580 to the 445 megahertz band, which will then transmit to my simplex repeater. My simplex repeater will then repeat everything that it hears back on the 445 megahertz band, and it will retransmit. The Retevis will retransmit simultaneously what it's hearing from my simplex repeater back to me wherever I am calling on 147.580. All right, so that's how it's going to work. And when we get back, I'll have this all set up. All right, I'm set up here in my vehicle. I've got everything set up. I'm transmitting on my mobile unit. It's an ICOM 2730A with a Comet SBB5 NMO mount antenna. N8 DAV testing 1, 2, 3, 4.
N8 DAV testing 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, so I'm sitting here in my driveway, and next thing you know, I am going to go out a few miles, and I'm going to try it again. Let's see how it works. Be right back. All right, I'm at the 2-mile mark, and I want you to know I am using my radio on low power. That's 5 watts, and because it doesn't make much sense for me to use a higher power to get to a radio that's only putting out 4 or 5 watts in itself. So let's try it. N8 DAV testing at the 2-mile mark.
N8 DAV testing at the 2-mile mark.
Okay, I'm now at the 4.4 mile mark on the freeway. I'm taking the 40 westbound to the 17, which runs north and south, and I'll be taking the 17 south to a place called Fort Tuthill. That's about as far as I can go. It's about 9.5, 10 miles from my shack as the crow flies, because after that I have to go down below some hills, and that cuts off all access. So here we're coming up on the 5-mile mark. We're at the 4.9 mile mark right now, coming up on the 5-mile mark. N8 DAV testing 1, 2, 3, 4 at the 5-mile mark.
N8 DAV testing 1, 2, 3, 4 at the 5-mile mark.
There you go. That's what you heard. It is getting a little rough out there, but let's keep going, because I know I might be able to go a little bit farther. All right, be right back. Okay, here we are at the 8-mile mark. N8 DAV testing 1, 2, 3, 4 at the 8-mile mark.
N8 DAV testing 1, 2, 3, 4 at the 8-mile mark.
Okay, we're still getting a little static there, so we'll see what's going to happen. All right, for safety reasons, I've pulled over to the side of the road. I am at the 9.7 mile mark, and I'm going to try testing. This is about as far as I can go. So I'm going to try testing now and see how the signal is. Let's try it. This is N8 DAV testing at the 9.7 mile mark. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4.
N8 DAV testing at the 9.7 mile mark. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4.
So just so you know, I'm right across from Fort Tuthill, and that's about as far as I can go. If I continued south, I'd be behind a hill, and I would lose all contact anyway. So we've gotten 9.7 miles, and we're getting a good signal. Actually, rather happy with that. But I'm going to try one more thing, guys, and let's see if that works. I'm going to get out, and I'm going to use my UV Pro with a stuffed signal stick. Let's see how that works. Be right back. N8 DAV testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4 at 9.7 miles.
N8 DAV testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4 at 9.7 miles.
All right, well, that was an S-meter reading of 7, which is usually about as good as I can get, is about as far as I can get. Otherwise, I don't hold the repeater open. All right? All right, well, listen, guys, it sounds like we can do it. It's working, so let me get back in my truck where I'm not so exposed to the traffic. Be right back. All right, just so you know, this was such a large video for me. I had to film it over 2 days, which is very unusual for me. I've never had a video quite this large with so much content that I've had to go over more than a whole day. So anyway, excuse me. So what did we learn today? I always ask that because what we do here at Ham Radio GMRS Test and Review is test. And you know, the motto for the channel is one test is worth 1,000 expert opinions. So we test to learn, and so I want to know, what did we learn today? All right, this is the radio. It's the radio that we did all this testing on. We tested the radio, we tested the antenna, and oh, you'll have to excuse me, we've got a lot of wind today. And so, you know, what I learned today, or what I learned for all the testing, was that this is a very solid radio. Is it a perfect radio? No, there's no perfect radio. But is it a great radio? Yes, it is. It does everything that it's supposed to do very, very well. And that's basically the summary of all the testing that I did. So let's go through the results of all the tests, and let's see what we have come up with. Okay, I'm going to put the radio up over here, and well, maybe I should put it back here so everybody can see it. All right. So, what did we learn from this radio? Well, first of all, we learned it's got a lot of good features, a lot of features that I like, a lot of features that I use. So, what did we learn? So, first of all, I did some antenna testing, and the antenna testing on 2 meters came out to SWR of 3.08, and on the Nano VNA 3.587. Now, those two numbers are close enough that I think that they're fairly accurate. On the 70 centimeters, again 1.30, and on the Nano VNA 1.775. Again, close enough. They verify each other. Those are good numbers. I would consider this a decent antenna. Good antenna on 70 centimeters, just decent on 2 meter. If you do operate on a lot of 2 meter, you might want to consider getting a little bit better antenna. However, this antenna performed very well with the radio, and you'll see when we get closer to it. Now, on the spectrum analyzer, I consider it a partial fail because the other frequencies got above the 25 microwatt requirement, and but it still stayed below the 40 dB that it's supposed to. According to those are the two things that the FCC that says that they have to pass. So I consider it a partial failure, not a full failure, but it is a little dirty. Power output. On 2 meter, low, I got 0.28 watts, medium 0.77, high 3.70. On 70 centimeters, low was 0.29, medium was 1.02, and high 4.26. At the park, the static test and the modulation test I did, excellent. I don't think I've ever had a radio with such little static. As a matter of fact, I heard no static whatsoever. I don't think I've ever had a test that I've heard absolutely no static. It's in super secret testing facilities. I got a good test, and that is as high as I've had with other radios as well. I've never had an excellent test with other radios. So there was some static. What I don't like about the radio, let me tell you. What I don't like about the radio is that it's not supported in chirp at this point. Whether it will be or not, I don't know. I haven't been able to find that out at this point. And the other thing I didn't like about the radio was the fact that I tried using the Retevis CPS software, and it's very limited. In other words, with chirp, you can cut and paste all kinds of frequencies and all the configurations to go along with it. You can cut and paste 5, 10, 15, 20, 100 at a time from one radio into another. You can't do that with the Retevis CPS. It's very limited. You have to manually input everything one at a time. There's also no feature for inputting let's say a text file, so you can input all the frequencies that you want. I run almost 200 frequencies, so guess what? The CPS was very limited. And again, you also can't do that with the Bluetooth app. So the two ways we have of programming the radio don't allow for mass input of of frequencies and configurations. So what I do like about the radio, well, it's well built and it feels solid in my hand. The display is large and clear, very easy to read. And it's also easy to read in direct sunlight and indirect sunlight. So that's something that is very important to me, and that's something I always take into consideration. The buttons are small, however, um, it's well designed. I'm really kind of surprised. As small as the buttons are and as close as they are together, I can press the buttons with my big fingers and not press two buttons at a time. So like this, and I can feel it. I can feel I'm not pressing two buttons at a time. So that's a very well designed radio, in my opinion. The other buttons on the front, besides the numeric keypad, they're very large and very easy to push. So everything is very tactile, and you can actually hear the click as well as feel the click when you do that. So I like that. Another thing I like about the radio is the fact that they do the antenna connection the correct way. So I believe that that's the correct way of doing it, and I applaud Retevis for doing that. Now, again, both can be, two different programming cables can be used on this, either with the K connector or with the USB connector. But I really like the feature that Retevis gives you a USB-A to USB-C programming cable, which can also be used for charging. That's a tremendous feature in my opinion. The crossband repeater feature is also a very nice feature. I use that often. I don't have very many radios that do that actually. So one of the key features for me for this radio was the crossband repeater feature, and I have to tell you, it worked very, very well. Modulation was very, very good, clear. Retevis spent a lot of time, I think, working on the modulation and not only on transmit but on receive with this radio, because it was very, very clear. I think it's better than the other radios that I use for the crossband repeaters. So, and that's it. That's what I really, really liked about the radio. I think it's a good radio. Oh, I don't know if I told you, but having the orange PTT keys actually saved me one day. I kept, I'm getting old and I'm getting a little senile, and I kept transmitting with the lower PTT key when I meant to transmit with the upper PTT key, and I couldn't figure out why it was transmitting on the wrong VFO. And then I looked over and I realized I saw my finger was over the orange key, and it stands out so well that it made me realize I was making the mistake. So, all right, very good. So I always ask the question, would I buy this radio for myself? And the answer to that question is yes, I would. And as a matter of fact, the answer to that question is I did. After I received this radio from Retevis, I was so impressed with it, and I really liked a lot of the features on it, I went and bought a second one. I haven't even taken it out of the box yet. It just came, I think, either yesterday or the day before. I haven't had the time. So yes, I did. I put my money right where my mouth is. So now I've got two of these radios. And after, I'm going to be doing a lot more testing on them for my own personal use, and it may go into the rotation for my everyday carry. I'm not guaranteeing that yet, but that's a possibility. That's why I bought a second one. So anyway, that's something you guys might want to take into consideration. I really like this radio. I thought it was great. All right, so my name is Dave. The motto for my channel is one test is worth 1,000 expert opinions. And of course, the name of my channel is Ham Radio GMRS Test and Review. And I had a great time testing and reviewing this radio. And I hope that you guys consider taking advantage of the Amazon Prime Day that this video is being released on, and the link in the description showing there's a big discount on this radio on Amazon Prime Day. So take advantage of it. If you like this radio and you think this radio is good for you, I highly recommend it. All right. Thank you very much for your consideration. And if you like my content, please like and subscribe. All right. Thank you very much. 73.